Hello, and welcome to episode 105 of the Making a Marketer podcast. I'm Megan Powers with Event Marketing Partners, and I don't have a co host today. I have a guest who happens to be my co host. Our guest today is the one and only Miss Jen Cole. Hi, Jen.
Hey, Megan. Weirdly
How do
enough,
you how do you feel being on the other side of the mic?
it's definitely different. It's it's so different. I didn't think it would be as different as it is. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's one of those things where you're like, what are they gonna say? What do I need to be prepared for? I don't know myself right now.
What are they gonna say? Like I'm a stranger. That's hilarious. I love it. Well, I forget how like the impetus of me bringing you on as a guest was you wrote this really great post on social and you were talking about the podcast, but you were also talking about your work or something. And I said,
Mhm.
I think that you need to be a guest. And I was trying to find that post so I could refer back to it, but I couldn't find it because social media, and it's been a while.
Yeah, it moves really fast. That's for sure. I know. I believe it was a LinkedIn Pulse article that I wrote a few weeks ago, and
Okay.
that's when that conversation came about. Right after that, and I was like, ooh, me.
Ooh, little old me. All right. I love it. So I'm going to, yeah, I mean, the last 5 seasons, we've talked to guests and we've interviewed guests. And I thought it was time for everyone to get to know a little bit about you. So, very brief bio here, and then we'll dig into what you do a little bit more. Social media manager at Greteman Group and co owner of X Standing Desk, Jen Cole gives brands a voice. With a background in social services, fundraising, event planning, and marketing, she is a creative at heart and co host of this podcast, hosting marketing professionals from all over the world. Her strongest passion is teaching brands how to build loyal fan bases around their brand to build truly devoted communities. She strongly believes we need to keep the human element in our marketing strategies. So I tweaked it a little bit. Pulled from your LinkedIn.
Nice.
All right. So keeping this at 30 minutes is going to be a challenge, but we will do our best. Hopefully, we'll have some people join us. Looks like we have some people on LinkedIn. Let's see if we have anyone in the chat. No, nobody just yet. All right. So I'm going to dig in then. So we met in 2017 when I was added to your community team for social media marketing world. And who knew, obviously, when Phil put us together, the friendship that we would establish. So this show today is about you, but I'm going to put you on the spot. What was your initial impression of me?
Oh my gosh. Okay, so I do remember my first impression of you, and it's so funny because my first impression of you is the same kind of person that I very often need in relationships like this, partnerships. And Julie Riley will tell you, like she's been my partner before too. It's you're one of those you're a person who is cut and dry. You tell it like it is. You say exactly what you need when you need it, and I think that's what makes us work so well because you know but my memory sometimes is a little I'm forgetful. If you see my desk at work, I have sticky notes all along the bottom of my monitors. I carry a planner so I can constantly write things down. And so like even trying to collect my thoughts, they're like do, they're all over the place. But you're one of those people who keeps me directed, and you're like, hey Jen, hello, I need this from you. I'm like, yeah, you do. You totally do. That's right. Okay, on it. Let's go. And so I was very happy. I love meeting people like that, and it was a really fun indication when you said, "Hey, I live down in Little Italy. Let me walk down and meet you somewhere really cool local that just happens to be right across the street from where you're currently having coffee right now." That was like when I knew we think alike. We appreciate some of the same things, especially supporting local, which is a huge thing to me. So I knew we were going to be friends, Megan. I
I
knew
love
it.
it. And we do have, of course, we have a selfie of that time. It's
We
not a
do.
great picture of me, but it's still it's our moment
It's
when
our moment.
when it
I
all
love that
began.
picture.
All right. So, for those who might be listening for the first time or watching, I'm not able to see comments on LinkedIn, but I do see we have 5 people on LinkedIn. So, I appreciate that. I wish I could. Oh, there it is. Wait, tap to show the chat. Let's see. This is my first time that I've actually engaged on a LinkedIn Live. Let me see. All right. Can I see it? All right. So, it might be the first time people are hearing or seeing you. So let's hear about the career ride that got you here.
It is a funny career ride. It is not something that I ever could ever expected to happen. So it all starts. My journey with social media marketing started with me promoting my Zumba classes on Facebook, on my Facebook Zumba with Jen Facebook page. And so I'd like announce where my classes were going to be like for the week. If I had fundraiser events that were coming up that I would be leading, Zumba numbers in, I would put that stuff out on my Facebook page and just like really tried to market myself and build a community. It was so much fun for me. That was my first real experience of building an online community. And people would come to my Facebook page. Last night was so much fun. Oh, let's all wear pink and green next week. Like it was a experience that was coming to life. It was on the computer, but then it was in class. Like it was something absolutely amazing. I became addicted to this whole entire social media marketing idea. I had just been working on an MBA anyway with a concentration in marketing. And so I was like, this is literally all falling together somehow. And then, I kind of got into working for a newspaper. And then I realized I need to go the agency route if I really want to hone in on this passion for social media marketing. And so I took a internship in Kansas City. And then shortly after that, I got an agency job. And I was one of the first people in Wichita to actually be a social media marketing professional for an ad agency. It was phenomenal. I interviewed one day and I started the very next day at 2 p.m. at the agency. And while I was working there, I attended Social Media Marketing Summit, which was Social Media Examiner's online conference. And was really interactive in there. And then I got a LinkedIn message from one Phil Mershon saying, I don't really mean to be creepy, but I noticed one that you were attending Social Media Marketing Society and that you just happened to attend, you teach Zumba at the YMCA that my wife goes to. Unfortunately, that YMCA just got destroyed by a tornado a week and a half ago. So that is devastating. It was absolutely awful. But it's been cool seeing that community come together. But it was a wild thing. And then, eventually I started working for Phil at Social Media Examiner and building this community. I met you and we started a podcast together. Holy moly. And then on top of that, like I met Jessica and eventually went to go work for Now Marketing for a while. And then now led me back to realize that I really thrive working in an office with people because I love people so much. Being around people in person energizes my work. And to be able to be an aviation marketer in Wichita, Kansas, which is the air capital of the world, is just such a really cool feeling. And I love the people I work with now. And I feel like everything that I did in that journey all over the place led back to Wichita, right where I belong.
I love that. You brought it home. Like kind of come full circle. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. All right. So I know that community is your love. And right now you're a social media manager. So we know that social media managers are kind of doing it all. So how do you keep that community mindset when you have to do it all? And like, what advice would you give to people who might understand that community aspect of social media?
When you're starting social media marketing for a brand that you're not necessarily familiar with, let alone an industry that you're not as familiar with as you would want to be going into a role like this, it's a get to know you kind of process. Like with anything else, if you go in with a mindset of, hey, I'm not here to just post things, like advertise all the time. I'm here to create conversations about charter jets or charter experiences, or maintaining maintaining aircraft, or going to these, like they're an industry that have a lot of conferences that they go to too. And so it's really fun for me when I get these photos back from these clients being at events and seeing them connect and getting kind of that it's kind of one of those feelings where it's an empathetic feeling where I'm like, oh my gosh, I bet they're so excited to see each other, because this is so cool. They're actually in person. I get that feeling a little bit all over again when I see my clients out there speaking and seeing each other face to face, going to golfing events. There's a lot of golfing in aviation. It's kind of fun. It's so pretty. I like that. All their little golf tents and their golf flags, and they're all like smiling and having fun together.
You're
It
so
just
cute.
it shows me, it brings me back, and it's like, yes, Jen, you're still helping to build community, even though it's been a long time, I feel like, since I've been mostly B2B, but to be able to see it actually happen before my eyes, is so much fun. And so there's the writing, and I had to get back into kind of a mindset after getting to know the clients. It was like, I need to go back to my social media formula, where like I like to ask questions in social media posts, like, are you looking for this, or how do you feel when this happens, and I'm like, yes, get back into that messaging, because that is going to introduce the idea of conversation to these social media channels and to these brands who might not have been doing that kind of thing before. And it's really fun to see the engagement rates go up for these clients as well. See the comments on the pages. We have one that they constantly, I feel like they have news all the time, one of our clients, and they're constantly hiring really cool people, or getting really cool partnerships, and it's so fun to just, I don't know, share those experiences with them, share that excitement with them. And so I feel like going into the whole thing with a mindset of just seeing who you can connect with and bring into your network on behalf of them is the best way to do it. And bringing in your own passion and feelings of excitement and empathy for the client really helps.
Yeah, well, I hadn't thought of that this is B2B, and that is definitely a different approach, right?
It's way different. It's way
Yeah,
different. But it's still really cool, because they're still building really awesome relationships with each other. And it made me think of the way that, Jessica Phillips is constantly building relationships with her community, not necessarily just her clients, but she's out in Ohio constantly making really nurturing, creating relationships with clients. And so for her, it's kind of a B2B, but then her clients go B2C. So it's kind of a funny thing. And it's really cool to be able to see it just play out. And it's
right.
something that I never even, I didn't expect it to be so real when I stepped into this role. It's really cool.
That is very cool. All
Yeah.
right. So, and if you have any questions for Jen, I mean, I have a ton of questions for Jen. You wouldn't think I would, but I totally do.
Not
All
all
right.
the time.
So, you have to create strategy, write content. You create some graphics, but you have a team also helping you do that, and you're
Right.
building community. So, tell us, what's your workflow look like, and then is there anything you would change, like any update you think you'd
No, I love my
make?
workflow right now. The
Right?
workflow
How do you
is
do it?
there. We write a week's worth for each client throughout the week. So on Monday, I'll work for a couple of clients, and I'll write their posts, and I'll pull whatever images I need, or I'll request in Agorapulse. We use Agorapulse for this, which is just, I love it. You know that I love Agorapulse, but we assign each other stuff in Agorapulse, and it's it's a fantastic way to communicate. And then we also have our project management system that we communicate in too. And so if I need something, I'm just like, hey, what we have 3 designers. So I'm just like, whichever one is on, working on that client's work, I'm like, hey, I need a graphic that looks like this. And then in the meantime, I'm like taking links, creating UTMs and putting those into the post. And then what I do is I assign them to me so they don't go live without approval. Because you don't want anything like that to ever happen. That's never fun. And so then at the end of the week, I go through and I just schedule everything to go live as we go. And then there's always the things that kind of come on the fly. Like today, I wrote a post on the fly for a client because they had something really cool that they were doing out in the community today, and we got pictures back of them um, giving this really cool award at a cancer center, and it was so much fun to just look at these happy pictures and to feel the feels and then to write the post. It's my favorite part of my job.
Yeah, yeah, that getting content from from customers is
Yeah,
gold. I'm
it's
familiar with that challenge, yeah.
it's really awesome. So as that happens, I just kind of do those things on the fly. Anytime that images ever need to get resized, I do that myself, just to keep the pace going. And I go into Canva and just size them and make them look good. And then if I've been playing around with reels lately for a couple of clients, which has been so much fun. I'm loving Instagram reels so much. And yeah, and so sometimes those it'll be one of those things where, oh, we went to an event, can here, take these photos, and I'm like, you know what I'm gonna do with those? I'm gonna make them into a reel. And so then I'll go to the like very back of the agency where not a lot of people are sitting because you have to put music to reels,
Right.
otherwise what's the point? And so I'm back there sitting all comfortable at the back of the agency, creating this reel, messing around with music, and it's really fun. I like that creative outlet as well. So that's kind of a day in the life. Sometimes if I get sleepy at my desk because I'm not used to sitting at a desk all day long, I'll get up and go talk to our front desk lady because her name is Lori and she's amazing and I love her. And get up and have real life face-to-face conversations with people. It's something that I had totally just forgotten about, and it changes a lot of things when you can just get up and go to somebody's desk and sit down and have a real conversation with them instead of a text message or a Slack message.
Yeah, or waiting for a response. Do to do because
Yeah,
I can't do this next thing until I know. Yeah.
yeah, and even this week I'm working remote. And I'm in Missouri right now, and there's a lot of context and facial expressions and body language that gets lost in a Slack message. And so I'm like, oh, was I too direct? Was I mean? No, I'm just saying what I need. But there's a lot
You
of
could
me.
never be mean, Jen Cole. I mean, seriously.
Like, they can't see my face when I'm saying this, and I feel like
I
you know,
but
I,
they
I
know who
feel
you
I
are,
appreciate the face to
so
face a
yeah.
lot.
Yeah. No, I can definitely appreciate that, and, yeah, a lot gets done, and, I mean, I work in events, so, that's the whole theory, right, is that we do more work, we do better, when we're face to face,
Yeah.
so I totally hear you on all that.
Yeah.
So, alright, so you already kinda touched on it, so you are working at Grumman Group, the
Mhm.
agency focus is aviation, and so how is it for you being able to focus just on one industry versus the variety that you had, in the past?
It's a lot different. It's a lot different, and it's yes, it's all about things that fly in the air, you know. But when you think about things that fly in the air, you got to also take into account there's aircraft maintenance, there's unmanned aircraft, there's charter aircraft, there's all kinds of different things that go into aviation that a lot of people don't really think about when they're thinking about aviation. And so it's a lot of fun. I have learned a ton. My ex is a pilot, and so I used to know a lot of things. And um and now I'm like hearing it in a different context and really diving into it. I'm speaking his language now, which is kind of a funny thought. But I love it. I love that I'm honed into one thing. Every once in a while we'll have a project or a client that's kind of outside of that, but it's a community focused thing within Wichita. And I love those. I'm so excited
Yeah.
about it. I love those so much. But then going back and learning, there's some really cool things happening in aviation. Some really cool things where I'm like, oh my gosh, I didn't even know some of this stuff even existed. Is this real? When is this going to become an actual thing? It's really exciting. It's a fun thing.
That's awesome. I had a, when I flew last week, whenever it was, the last time I flew, I had a guy sitting next to me who was, he's a charter pilot for
Uh-huh.
a private, you know, charter company,
Uh-huh.
and he was talking to the guy next to me. I love people, but I don't tend to really wanna talk on airplanes normally,
Me either.
so but I listen, and, he is, oh, he said it was $8,000 an hour to charter this jet, and I started thinking, "Who could I bring together? How much would it cost?" I wanted to ask him, "How many seats?
It's
How
like
many
a
seats
girls
does the
trip
plane
wagon.
have?" Oh my gosh. I mean, I don't have that kind of money right now, but yeah, but I'm like but I feel like the plane sat a lot of people. Anyway, that's just kind of an aside. I thought that was funny, and I thought about you. And then, like, whenever like, Aviation Gin and that had that whole funny thing when we just kept talking
Yeah.
about gin and all of that on that our episode with Dan Gingiss.
Yes.
Um, I didn't even put it together at the time that you're working in aviation with your agency, so that is
I'm
all really
in
very
it.
funny.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. I love that. That was such a cool episode. It warmed me right up into going to it was right as I was starting there. Really, really cool
Right.
episode.
Right, right. Alright,
Mhm.
so I would like to know how you think this podcast has helped you grow professionally.
There are so many ways that this podcast has helped me grow professionally. It's definitely helped me kind of develop a it's definitely helped my listening skills for one. I'm going to say that listening is so very important, and I love that as a podcaster we get to humbly sit back and practice the skill of listening. It's a very important skill, and so often in a workplace where we're in an environment where people like to talk over each other, but like there's so much that can be said from sitting back and listening and being inspired by somebody else. Of course, I've learned a million marketing nuggets. I'm writing a column on that for Greneman Group right now about like this exact question. They want me to dial it into 10 things. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the hardest thing to write because I can't just do 10. I mean, we're over 100 episodes. There are a million things that I've learned from marketing from so many amazing people. And it's been really cool to get to learn from the best of the best about these different niches in marketing. And I think that that has definitely helped me work. And it's also funny, Megan, because remember back in those days when I didn't listen to I wouldn't listen back to our podcast. Well, I listen back to our
Yes.
podcast now because it's because Greneman Group loves that I have a podcast, and I love that they love that I have a podcast. The cool thing about it is they're always wanting me to talk about it, which is great. So I'm like, okay, well, I need to go freshen up my my memory, and so I need to go listen to some episodes so I can stay on top of that and be able to shoot conversation points when I'm talking to potential clients or anybody around me that's interested in how our podcast works. And uh and so I love that I can go back and listen and I'm still like remembering or catching things that I didn't really process the first time in our
Right.
podcast. So I'm still learning from old episodes, and it's changed my career path, I think, because of my connections as well. You can just text certain people at any time and start a conversation about anything in marketing that I would ever want. And that's that's kind of that's a rare thing that I definitely don't take for granted. And I think it's helped me also a lot in my professional career. So, and of course, interview skills because for well, that mainly goes for when I do these Facebook lives now for Digital Wichita. We're about to have Social Media Day Wichita, and we do Facebook lives. I'm interviewing each speaker as we lead up to the event. I did it for Now Marketing Group as well, but I've always done it for Digital Wichita. It's kind of a weird thing to but I've always done it for Digital Wichita, and now we're getting back into promoting our event, which I am so stoked for this year. It's gonna be freaking awesome. And
I
so
love it.
there's just been countless ways that our podcast has helped me in my professional career over the last few years. And of course, getting to know you better, Megan, you're a huge asset to my life. It's so
Aw,
funny that
thanks.
we've just become such natural friends over the last few years, but we also get have such a great working relationship too.
Yeah, even if we only talk once a month
Yeah. And we
or
text
twice a month,
a lot more than
depending
that.
on
It's really funny. Hey, listeners, guess what? We have a group text with me, Megan, and my boyfriend. It's ongoing. So much fun.
Indeed. Yeah, the listening, that's a huge thing, and actually, to be honest, it's something I kind of struggle with as because I'm also producing the show, it's, I miss things sometimes, so for me,
Right.
listening back is always like, "Oh, I'm gonna hear things for sure that I didn't hear the first time," and I end up hearing it back a few times, because I before I send it to the editor, and then after he sends it back, and then, of course, I listen to it online because I want downloads.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone, if you're not downloading your own show, you're doing yourself a disservice. Let me just make that public service announcement. I may also go to Apple and Spotify both to get those numbers. We don't publish our numbers or anything, so it's silly because it's like whatever. But it is kind of fun to
Yeah.
download them and then look back and see what the most popular episodes are and all that kind of
Yeah.
good stuff. So,
It's good for us to know
and
because it helps us like tailor future content too,
right.
just like social media marketing.
Right. Yeah, well, and we of course, neither of us had any idea when we got into this what what it was gonna be about or, what where we were gonna take it. So,
No.
I'm
I
really
could've
proud. Y What's that?
I said I could have never fathomed how much this was gonna impact my life. It's saying yes to this thing that seemed so little back then is just it's been amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it just, it's a snowball, it's like we're just gonna keep rolling.
Yeah.
Um, Looking forward to 5 more seasons with you. All right, I have a question, like, who's on your wish list? Who have we not had on yet that you would like to bring onto the show?
Gosh, there's a few of them. I think it would be kind of fun to have Tyler Anderson of Casual Fridays on here. Um, and
Okay.
then oh gosh, I had another one. It was
We did take a selfie with him at Social Media Marketing World
we did. We did. We should just shoot
2020,
that his way
I
and say, "Hey,
think?
remember
Yeah.
2020?"
That
I
was
think
like,
I think it was
we were trying to
2020.
manifest. Yeah.
Oh, and the other one was Jay Bear, because I feel
Well,
like that was kind of around the same conversation um, when we were talking to Tyler.
yeah,
I feel like we were talking about Jay Bear
Duncan
also.
Wardle Duncan Wardle, definitely. We took a selfie with him, and
Yeah,
then we
yeah,
manifested that. So that
we
was
did
good.
that.
Yeah. All right, so that's cool. And what would you want his topic to be?
Um, so that's a good. I well, I
I
would
mean,
like to
user-generated content, that's their jam, right? I mean, other than him being the agency in general being, like,
yeah,
serving destinations and stuff, but their
yes.
user-generated content tool would be fun to talk about.
That would be really, really cool to talk to. And then, of course, like just nerding out over social media day, of course. But that we don't need to have an
Yeah,
episode on that. But yeah, user
right.
generated content. Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be a fun thing to talk about? I love user
Yeah,
generated.
his,
This is one of my
uh,
favorites.
the 2020, I think it was 2020, they kind of blend together, but when they took, Social Media Day online, that was one of my favorite events, that I attended, throughout the last couple of years. So, all right, cool. Well, we'll have to, tag him in this and let him know, give Tyler a shout out. Okay, so, I mean, here's to 5 more seasons, right?
Yeah, here's to 5 more seasons. Let's make it happen.
We we made it. I made it right on at 30 minutes on the button. Magic.
That's
And I
magic.
just have to say, so I pulled up LinkedIn
Uh,
and, and the video goes into your header image. Did you know
snap!
that?
That's kind of fun.
Pro tip, friends. Um,
It
but
was
it
on
was
there.
it's been in beta forever, and I just got access, fairly recently, so, that's kind of a fun little thing for me. So, if you're watching on the replay, if I nerded out about that and about just kind of getting going in the beginning on LinkedIn, I was trying to see if I could see the comments, that is why. But, everything's constantly changing, right? It's the evolution of marketing and of social media and live broadcasting. So, I'm hoping also that our listeners will notice I have a new microphone, so hopefully I sound better. I know I did not sound incredibly good on the last few episodes, so I'm very excited. As Chris Stone said that I would sound like butter, so I hope I sound like butter.
Yeah,
All right,
you
Miss Jen
you sound
Cole,
smooth.
thank you so much for getting in the hot seat today. I appreciate you, more than you know, truly.
Oh, well, thank you so much for having me. This was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. And just getting to sit around and talk to you anytime is always fun, Megan.
I mean, it's not a Kansas City versus San Francisco Super Bowl football banter session, though that was quite popular. It kept getting listened to months after. So hopefully one day our teams will meet again in that. I mean, I know we meet again in the regular season,
Yeah.
so you'll have to come out to California for that. But
Yeah, we've been talking about that.
yeah, but hopefully it'd be nice to meet in the Super Bowl again. But of course, I want my good guys to win that
Yeah, I
one.
don't
All right, I mean, it wouldn't be a Jen and Megan
of
session without talking at least a little bit of football. So, for
course.
those of you who were with us today, even if only briefly, for those watching on the replay and listening on the podcast, thank you so much. We really appreciate you listening. And if you enjoy our show, we would love it if you would rate and review us on your podcast platform of choice. We are doing this as a live broadcast video, but of course it is a podcast. Audio is the main event. So we would appreciate that. Thanks, Jen.
Thank you, Megan.
All right, friends, this has been the 105th episode of the Making a Marketer podcast, and we will catch you